Meri Brown lashes out against the alleged NDA. Kody wanted me to sign. On Sunday night, the most recent Sister Wives episode sent fans back in time. Earlier this year, like much earlier, far back in the spring, the Browns were in a fairly heated situation of trying to sell Coyote Pass, the property they bought in 2018 in Flagstaff, and yet never developed in any form at all. The land was divided into individual lots at the time this episode was produced, and each of them belonged to a different family member. I think the issue was getting our names put on the appropriate pieces of properties, Meri said in the TLC reality series episode from November 16th. I don't know why it couldn't just be signed on, and there was a lot of discussion about that. Her ex-husband proceeded to propose one theory. You see, Kody stated on television that we got a written offer prior to the April sale. However, the paperwork to reassign all of the property to make the four of us equal owners was still in progress. Meri obviously objected to this point, but she informed the camera that she couldn't really clarify. The 56-year-old noted that signing on the dotted line slowed down significantly because there was too much to agree on and we were going back and forth through lawyers. She yelled angrily, "He's blaming me for the whole fucking thing, saying that I'm the reason it slowed down." However, it had to do with their attempts to have me sign a confidentiality agreement, which I refused to do. What is the reason for your request that I sign a confidentiality agreement? Why do you want to keep me quiet? We have never heard of any Sister Wives cast member being requested to sign a non-disclosure agreement before. Although Kody did not comment on the subject of a non-disclosure agreement, he did admit that he and his second wife Janelle had some casual conversations. Janelle was concerned about losing the customer after we accepted the offer, he explained. And so Janelle's pushing me to either comply completely with what Meri's wishes were or force the sale. I found myself in a situation where I was practically having a backdoor deal with Janelle. To be fair, it was a complicated matter, which is understandable given the large number of people involved. Janelle recalled that Kody had remarked, "Well, I could sell it without Meri's consent." And I'm like, well, you could. He could, in fact. He might be able to sell it. Fortunately, this was avoided. However, Meri claimed in this episode that the prospect destroyed her faith, confidence, and so much more. She said, "It fucking breaks my heart that it has come to this. I didn't think that these people would try to do this to me. Did we not have any human characteristics?" However, the difficulties of the arrangement appeared to have permanently destroyed relationships at the time this was filmed. Meri once remarked, "I feel like if Robin and I were to have a friendship again, it would have to start at the very beginning. Because as she ought to, she is devoted to Kody. I'm not. We would also need to have some difficult talks. Robin and I are not trustworthy." There isn't. Fans of Sister Wives are well aware that the once pitying ex-sister wife has a bad reputation at best. Meri is by no means the first to be described as not a very good parent by Mykelti. Despite her careful word choice, she isn't afraid to present a negative image of Meri. Mykelti Brown and her husband, Tony Padron, were interviewed by Pop Psych this week. She doesn't have a relationship with Meri, just like many of her siblings, and she explained why. As Mykelti put it, she was just not a very good parent. It's harsh, but accurate. She went on to say, she wasn't a very good mom. It was not enjoyable to be around her. Some parents are not fun because they are either overly serious or preoccupied with their jobs. It appears that Meri's emotional instability is the cause, which is unacceptable and disqualifying of a parent. Mykelti brought her mom Christine Brown's book during the conversation, pointing out that it discusses the reasons behind her lack of affiliation with Meri. Regarding her mother, she remarked, "She says it without saying it," implying that there is more to the tale of Christine's separation from Meri. "Meri has a very hard personality," Mykelti said. "Her personality is very aggressive." Mykelti recounts what seems like emotional abuse, but Meri has been accused of physical assault by a couple of her siblings. She clarified that it wasn't physically, but rather, go in, get it done. It doesn't matter how old you are or how capable you are. Mykelti Brown remembered Meri's personality and continued to describe someone who sounded awful to be around. She explained, "It doesn't matter when she asks, you go in and get it done." "You get into a lot of trouble if you complain," explained Mykelti. "You get into serious trouble if you don't follow her instructions exactly. You get in trouble if you have questions about how to do it better." She added, "You get into problems if you didn't complete it on time." She was very, very strict and very hard, Mykelti admitted. She was more likely than the other children to make fun of me. I was unable to explain why. Because of the way she treated us when we were younger, the most of us don't get along with her today, Mykelti thought. Meri has tried to make amends, she continued. However, it seems that their efforts simply serve to affirm her identity and choices. She would say the traditional, "I'm so sorry," as we grew older. "I cherish you," Mykelti said. "I'll treat you better. Let's just go have a nice girls' day or something." She pointed out that she would get upset with you for something in the middle, and then somehow it would become your fault. Mykelti explained, and then it would go back to where you were apologizing for something she did. She would have these huge emotional swings where she would just go angry and passionate, according to Meri Brown, who said of Meri, "Suddenly you felt like it was an honor to be in her presence and among her, but you were still in the wrong. It is unacceptable for a parent to act that way." She proposed, "I believe that's the reason why the majority of my siblings decide not to have a very big relationship with her. I won't list them all. But I will never have a relationship with her because of how she treated me when I was younger." Well done, Mykelti, but she's not an awful person in my opinion. She was very generous when she said, "I just think she's made mistakes. She still deserves happiness at the end of it," Mykelti continued. "I simply will never be in a relationship with her." But fans of Sister Wives were completely taken aback when Kody Brown granted his wife Robyn's surprising demand. When it comes to romance, fans are aware that Robyn and Kody can be a little cheesy. When he attempted to use his natural pheromones to impress her, Robyn was not impressed, and everyone was grossed out. But this time, he believed he had a better plan that would make his wife happy. Kody quickly decided to take off his mustache when Robyn told him in the most recent episode that she didn't like it. But everything has a cost, so in exchange for shaving his facial hair, he requested a charming small favor. What is it? To find out, continue reading. Kody Brown of Sister Wives disclosed that he and Robyn were unable to have a romantic vacation since they were moving. The pair, he continued, had evolved from lovers to combat mates. The 18-year-old father asserted that he had a remedy for that, though. Since his solution uses his pheromones, it's a little gross. Robyn reported that Kody had a very strong body odor while she was packing boxes for the relocation to the new residence. Being himself, Kody leaned in his wife's direction and asked, "Do you enjoy that? Like my scent?" Brown was unable to stop smiling as he joked about peacocking and flaunted his muscles, but Robyn was not won over by his antics. Fans of Sister Wives may remember that Kody acknowledged a few days ago that he and Robyn were not finding time for themselves because of the house move. He went on to say that he wished to rekindle their relationship. "We can see it now, though." Robyn said in the most recent Sister Wives episode that his beard made her feel as though she was kissing one of those vegetable scrubbers from her kitchen sink. She also mentioned that she was being probed, which she found so uncomfortable. Kody quickly came up with a remedy, though. He resolved to get rid of his mustache and beard, provided Robyn promised to kiss him more. He verified with his wife to be sure he would receive a reward for shaving his face before doing so. He said, "Assure me that we will make out like teenagers." Additionally, he stated that he would not be bothered by shaving off his mustache and beard. Not long afterward, he pulled out a razor and started shaving his beard. Robyn could not resist flirting with her cherished spouse while he only had a beard on his chin. "Oh, look at that jawline," she exclaimed. "I haven't seen that in a long time." She also acknowledged in the confessional that Kody appeared nicer and younger. Not long later, the two started kissing in the restroom. "Dude, I'm about to get kissed. Kody, kiss me," he said to the cameras. The pair was unable to separate their hands. In the confessional, Robyn went on to say that she could not stop admiring his new appearance and that he looked so much better. "Yeah, let's just make out," it says. "That will be fantastic," she remarked. Robyn further mentioned that she enjoyed a clean-shaven look on her hubby. For more Sister Wives news, return often to TV season spoilers. But the early morning sun was splattering gold across the wooden deck as Christine sat on the back porch of her new Flagstaff residence. As she sipped her tea and lost herself in the whirlpool of thoughts that had accompanied her for months, a small blanket draped over her shoulders. "I wasn't sure if we were truly divorced," she finally muttered to herself. Thread by thread, argument after argument, disappointment by disappointment, her relationship with Kody had been eroding for years. However, the point at which things went south was scarred in her memory. She was sitting across from Kody in the living room on a windy fall evening when it happened. The house was too silent, too large, and too cold. Kody had been pacing, furious at something little, but Christine had felt the weight of years weighing down on her chest. "I feel like we're not even married anymore, Kody," she remarked softly. Frustrated, Kody shrugged. "Christine, we have discussed this. What you desire from me is unclear to me. Our connection is complex." That was the final appropriate discussion they had on their marriage. No resolution, no last remarks. A paper without a signature. Nothing but quiet. In the months that followed, Christine moved out, started a life of her own, and made an effort to regain the confidence she had long since lost. Still, misgivings murmured in her head. Did they end? Was it a formality? Or did she find herself in an incomplete chapter? A fresh start full with old queries. TLC's cameras followed Christine one afternoon as she was ready to meet Janelle at a nearby cafe. She took a deep breath, brushed her hair, and put on a delicate shade of pink lipstick. Janelle was seated already, smiling calmly and familiarly as she sipped her coffee. "You appear lighter," Janelle remarked kindly. "More content?" Christine grinned, but the truth was in her eyes. "I'm making an effort. However, I'm still unsure of whether I'm spiritually or legally divorced. I have no idea what to call myself." Janelle bent over. "Christine, you left. You made a decision. That is divorce in all relevant respects." "But is it?" Christine's voice was shaking as she whispered. "No papers were present. No talking. He didn't defend us or attempt to make things better. It just stopped. Silently. Like if I vanished?" Squeezing her hand, Janelle extended her arm. "You didn't vanish. You put yourself back together. Christine faces her history." A producer asked Christine later that week whether she would be open to discussing her connection with Kody on camera for a special section. After hesitating, Christine consented. She finally exposed her emotions while seated in the interview chair with lights illuminating her surroundings. With a little catch in her voice, she stated, "I wasn't sure if we were truly divorced. We never discussed it. He never said to me, 'Christine, let's end this.' I left because staying hurt more than leaving." Wiping a tiny tear from the corner of her eye, she went on, "I spent years trying to be the ideal wife. I made an effort to help the family. However, I came to the realization that loving someone shouldn't feel like pleading for their attention, and having another person in the house shouldn't make marriage seem lonely." There was silence in the room. The awakening. Months later, Christine ran into Kody unexpectedly at a family event. There were no rolling cameras. The children were congregating in the hallway of a rented space with no lighting or producers present. Kody gave her a strange look. "You seem different, Christine." "I am," she said coolly. A long pause ensued. Kody then said, "So, we're actually done?" Christine inhaled deeply. "We finished long before I departed. I simply didn't want to acknowledge it." Kody looked down, understanding how much she had experienced in quiet. Finally managing to utter the words, Christine continued quietly, "And yes, we're divorced. Whether or not you ever admitted it." She felt the chapter shut for the first time. The new life of Christine embraced her independence in the months that followed. Taking trips, getting back in touch with old friends, decorating her house, preparing her favorite dishes, and, most importantly, discovering her identity without the burden of a failed marriage. She even started to feel receptive to love, albeit hesitantly and slowly. Christine grinned confidently as TLC shot their next interview. She declared, "My relationship with Kody is over. And I know exactly who I am for the first time in a long time." But no one in the Brown family anticipated the start of Sister Wives' 18th season, a fresh dedication to joy. Following years of conflict, painful separations, and challenging changes, the family resolved that this year would be different. Even if it might not look the same as before, it would center on recovery, humor, and regaining their connection. Thus started an adventure filled with joy, surprises, and touching moments. At a stunning lakeside park in Flagstaff, Christine, who had been enjoying her new independent life, made the decision to throw a huge spring picnic for everyone. At first, there were conflicting feelings, with some people worried that past wounds may resurface, but Christine emphasized that today would be a day of peace. Janelle prepared a massive homemade meal, the children flew around in brightly colored kites, and even Kody arrived with a resolute smile, prepared to keep the mood light. The amusing water balloon fight followed. "All is fair in love, war, and family TV!" exclaimed Aspen's brother Garrison when she launched the first balloon at him. Everyone was soaked in minutes. Even the grown-ups joined in. Christine and Janelle, laughing like teenagers, joined forces to pursue Kody down the hill. For a while, they were all just family again, and nobody remembered the past. They should have a family talent show to remind everyone how weird we all truly are, Meri initially joked. Everyone agreed, much to her astonishment. One of the funniest nights in the Brown family's history was the night of the talent show. In a spoof of Let It Go, Christine performed Let It Be, which is about letting go of drama. Kody tried magic tricks, but they all ended in comical failure. The children sobbed with laughter as a bunny puppet became stuck to his sleeve. The agony of losing remote controllers and couch cushions was the subject of Janelle's dramatic poetry reading. The children participated in dance competitions, skits, and even a spoof news program called Brown Family Breaking News, where they made fun of the person who had taken the final cookie. Applause, laughs, and warm grins filled the living room by the end of the evening. The family made the decision to camp in the Arizona mountains for 3 days in order to reestablish relationships. Nothing went as planned. Within the first hour, a squirrel stole the bag of marshmallows, Kody neglected to carry the stove, and the tents were unsteady. However, it ended up being the most memorable and humorous adventure. They shared stories while sitting by the campfire at night. The children started laughing uncontrollably when Christine acted out a serious scene from previous seasons. Joking that they were all surviving wilderness reality TV, Janelle prepared vegetable skewers. The high point? Kody attempted to shoo it away like a hero as a wild turkey strayed close to the camp. For the remainder of the journey, everyone made jokes about the turkey's dominance because it didn't budge an inch. At her new Utah home, Christine threw a family dance night. String lights, vibrant paper lanterns, and a disco ball she purchased for fun were used to adorn the entire living area. Each person was told to bring one item, a song that symbolized the year you were in. The outcomes were amusing and surprising. Christine selected an upbeat song about independence. The retro rock song that Janelle chose had everyone jumping up and down. Some of them started crying when Meri sang a heartfelt ballad. Kody surprised everyone by attempting to dance like a teenager once more while selecting a boy band hit from the 1990s. It devolved into a full-on dance battle as the children took over. The camera crew even participated. It was raucous, boisterous, and exuberant, the truest kind of enjoyment. When the older Brown children surreptitiously organized a surprise reunion for their parents, it was the last entertaining moment of season 18. They invited cousins, friends, and former neighbors, hired a lodge, and decked it out with pictures from each previous season. They were all astonished when Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Kody showed up. The reunion turned into a memorable evening, seeing old home videos providing amusing behind-the-scenes videos. Thinking back on childhood vacations, children expressing gratitude to their parents for persevering through difficult circumstances. And for the first time in years, everyone sat together at one long table, exchanging plates, sharing jokes, and simply enjoying the occasion. Not a drama, no stress, just laughter, family, and love. Christine's final words, which became the central theme of the fake season 18, were as follows. "Families may evolve, but love endures. You simply must continue to choose happiness." As the season came to a conclusion, the Browns strolled across the park together, grinning beneath the setting sun. Welcome to my channel, lovely viewers. My name is Sabrina, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm imperfect, but connected, in a new manner. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.